tale you're about to hear about a young ranch boy who had lived a difficult life, and a letter that had changed the life one fateful Christmas year. Now there once was a boy named James who went by Jimmy Old Town, by his friends and his mother, who was called Mary Carter. It was just them on the ranch, a boy and his mother, plus a few family friends. And though they didn't have much, they still managed to have everything that they needed. Jimmy grew lean and grew up quick, learning how to play it smart instead of hard, 'cause in order to survive, he knew that that was the winning trick. But tricks never last, and magic runs out fast, and such was the day when a boy now at the age of 12, Jimmy was sent away. Now Mary was a hard-working woman, a single ranch owner, and a mother-in-one. She took Jimmy by the hand because she knew this day would come, and she said, "Son, I'm sorry you can't stay, and that you gotta go away, but you gotta believe when I tell you that I'm doing this all for you. The ranch is in debt, and I've got to sell it along with our family home, but I can't have you on the street on your own. So I've arranged to be married to a man named Rutherferd, and he'll be your stepfather from here on in. And so I'm sending you to go live with his sons and him, and I'll rejoin you when the deeds to the land and final papers have been signed and turned in." So with a final hug and kiss, she let her son be led away and told him not to miss her too much till they meet again. Now Rutherford was a man who was tough as he was mean, and his two other sons were likewise two son-of-a-guns who would one day work as lawyers at their daddy's law firm under him. He then started calling Jimmy James and told him he needed to put aside childish pastimes along with silly little kid nicknames before you end up growing up into a dreamer like your mother with not a penny to her name. Jimmy cried tears that night as he whipped out pen and paper to write a letter to dear old Santa Claus that said, "I miss my mother, and I miss my friends, and all I want for Christmas this year is just to be allowed to go back home to them." When Rutherford caught, he snatched up the letter and threw it away to be burned up by the fire. He said to James that he had had enough, and that if he wanted to help his indebted mother, then he had better listen up, because Santa Claus, he said to James, doesn't respond to letters nor little Christmas wishes anyway. But if you're willing to be tough and smart, I can teach you what you need to know, so that you can become a successful corporate lawyer who will have the money to buy back your mother's ranch one day. But only if you promise me no more tricks and no more games and no more letters to Santa Claus after this day. And Jimmy would agree to his new stepdaddy's demands, saying, "I'd do just about anything just to get to go home again." But not long after the same week that Jimmy moved in is when news came that his mother was fatally wounded while out on the ranch working alone all day. And Jimmy realized that he would never get to go home. He had no mother, he had no home, And so he ended up adopted as Rutherford's third son. And that's when Jimmy legally became James Rutherford. And James grew lean and grew up quick, learning how to play it smart instead of hard. Cause in order to survive, he knew that was the winning trick. But tricks never last, and magic runs out fast. But we never forget our past, as he kept reminders to himself. I promised to buy back Mama's ranch one day. The many years passed, and James was no longer a boy, but a full-grown man, a successful lawyer, the best that ever was. Like a magician who never seemed to run out of tricks, being pulled from his sleeves. But no matter how hard he had worked, his goal of buying back the ranch was always just a tiny ways out of reach. Until one year, a strange little envelope made its way addressed to a James Rutherford. Inside was a silly little Christmas card that read, "I know you don't believe anymore in Santa Claus, since you were adopted that tragic day so many years ago. But your mother would have wanted you to have this when you were old enough. Sincerely, an old fat man in a red suit you don't think exists." And along with the card was the papers of a copy of the recently released last will and testament of a Mary Carter's first ex-husband, who had left Mary when she was 8 months pregnant, and was Jimmy's biological father. That read in detail all that would be passed down to his only living biological son. And it was enough to buy back the ranch. After all these years, to finally return home, he quit his job, bought tickets for the very next Amtrak train to leave the station. He returned to his hometown, reunited with all his family friends who had kept him in their prayers and had never forgot him. And he even got married, settled down with his childhood best friend that very same Christmas day. And James Rutherford used all that he learned from those years as a successful lawyer to help the people of his small hometown. He knew he would never make the money he did when he worked in the city, but he told his old friends and brand new family, "I would rather work every day for the rest of my life, working for half my pay, than to go back to work for more money. So long as I know that I'm working to help out other ranch families in need, so that no other future country kids ever go through what happened to me." Now the years have passed, even more, and James Rutherford became a father, a grandfather, and even a great-grandfather to just as many happy kids and grandbabies his mother's old ranch could ever hope to hold. And so now that I'm gray and old, I'm James Rutherford, but you can just call me Jimmy, would like to pass down a truth to all my children that I now know to be certain, that it does not matter if you're rich or poor, true believer or skeptical soul, or let you remember or have forgotten the Christmas wishes we make today or long ago in your letters addressed to the North Pole. Because Santa Claus loves all of the world's children from every background you can name, and so he remembers every child's most important Christmas wish, and he grants them all the same. And so he remembers every child's most important Christmas wish, and he grants them all the same.